Now, let us proceed to graphing linear equations using the slope and the origin. For example, let us graph the equation y is equal to 4x. This equation here follows from the slope-intercept form of the line y is equal to mx plus b. In this case, m is equal to 4 and b is equal to 0. B here is the y-intercept. The y-intercept is the intersection onto the y-axis. So therefore, to graph this, we will start with this given value of b, the intersection at the y-axis. And now let's locate that point. The intersection on the y-axis is at 0, that is at the origin. And then from there, from that point, we will use the slope. In this case, the slope is 4. And we know that the slope is defined to be the change in y over the change in x. Or we also think of this as rise over run. And so with the y-intercept as our starting point, we will then refer to the slope of the line. In this case, it's equal to 4, which we could also think of as 4 over 1. That means the rise is 4, so we are going to go up 4 units. So 1, so starting from this point, you go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1 unit to the right. This would give us our second point. Then you are just going to connect this 2 point here and extend it. That would be the graph of the line y is equal to 4x. Another example here. Graph the equation y is equal to negative 1/2 x. The coefficient of x is our slope. So this negative 1/2 here is the slope, negative 1/2. That is the change in y over the change in x. And the y-intercept is 0 because if you look at the y-intercept form of the line, y equals mx plus b, there's no constant in the given function, in the given equation, so therefore b there is equal to 0. So since b is 0, the y-intercept is 0, so the intersection at the y-axis is this point here, y equals 0. Now starting at this point, this will be our starting point, we will use the slope. So since we have a negative sign here, we could put the negative sign either to the numerator or denominator. So our slope may be thought of as negative 1 over 2 in this case. So if we think of it as negative 1 over 2, so that means you go 1 unit down. So 1 unit down. So starting at the origin, go 1 unit down, and then 2 units to the right, 1, 2. This would be your second point. So then you just need to connect those 2 points and then extend it. That would be the equation of the line y equals negative 1/2 x. So another one, let us graph the equation y equals negative x. So again, we could refer to the y-intercept form of the line y equals mx plus b. In this case, m is equal to negative 1 and b is equal to 0. So we will start at the y-intercept, in this case it is 0, and refer to our slope. We could think of negative 1 as 1 over negative 1, or that is also the same as negative 1 over 1. So you can place the negative sign either in the numerator or denominator, but not to both. So if for instance, we are going to consider this. So m equals -1, and think of it as 1 over -1. That means from our starting point, which in this case is the origin. So from the origin, we go 1 unit up and 1 unit to the left because it is negative. That means this point here is the second point of the line. You just connect these 2 points and then make the extension. That would be this is the equation of your line y, or this is the graph of the equation y equals -x.